I think the myth is that most painters sit in their studio, they look at a white canvas or a white piece of paper, and magic happens. But the reality is a lot of that is really embedded in a pretty rigorous process and a set of rules that allow for that artist to have a sort of discovery process. I like to think of that manipulation, that collaging, whether it be digital, so we'll be working a little bit with Photoshop as well, sort of later in the week, and analog, so by actually making the collages, that can allow for a sort of expansive and much more expressive interpretation of what drawing is or sketching is. So in my studio, I very rarely draw, even though I'm a realist painter. My form of drawing and sketching is really just cutting up imagery and reassembling them in a way that sort of reorganizes the idea, the original idea. And then the painting process itself is watercolor, which most people have a real difficult relationship with because of fear. They think that it's not malleable, that you can't screw up. All of those are myths. And so what I want to do is I really want to sort of empower students to overcome those notions about A, what an image is, B, how to make an image, C, ownership, and then D, really, sort of really training them how to work with modulation of color, how to work with what seems like an unforgiving medium, because watercolor is really beautiful. It uses the inherent light of paper. You can layer it in a way that is really vibrant. And I find it incredibly forgiving. Oftentimes, I really want students to walk out, if only to understand that inherent to the process of making art is both risk and failure. And we oftentimes are operating outside of our own comfort zone in order to actually become better painters and artists in general. So much of what I think art education trains us to think is that there's only one way to do things. And I believe that there are 100 ways to do things. So each student will feel honored and they will feel connected. And I hope that they really get a lot of laughter. And just overall a really rich experience of being amongst a lot of inquisitive and curious people. And P-Town is a wonderful place to do it. It's surrounded by the ocean and whales and history and, war, and really people who are looking to feel those things, to feel connected.